Hey, check it out. My girlfriend got me this.
Put that shit away. I don't see your fat stomach.
Yummy.
I guess as payback for taking so long for the Friend video, now the Friend video's turned into a Friend trilogy. Welcome back, class, to
Revenge of the Friend.
Revenge of the... Have you guys seen or heard anything about this?
No, bro.
No.
I've been hearing
What the fuck is this?
I've only been hearing the name.
Bro, that's Wachifield, bro.
Yeah, that is good that you guys don't know anything about this, because it's going to be a wild ride.
I like that image.
I love this image, and that image, funny you mentioned that, Dalen, I wasn't going to talk about this, but since you mentioned it, that is an image of a cat from Wachifield. And today we're going to talk about what that is. And you may be asking,
What the hell is Wachifield?
I was asking that.
maybe asking questions like, what? And, huh? So let's get into that. So we're doing a little bit of a background info just to start. So, Wachifield is a series of Japanese children's books penned by Akiko Akita that follow a talking cat named Dion. That's this handsome fella right here.
Holy crap.
And his adventures in the mysterious world of Wachifield. Now, these stories were written around like the 80s or 90s. Also, Akiko Akita, that's her right there.
Oh,
We got high.
I thought that was
No, that was just some random woman. It was for emotional support. So yeah, these stories were written in the like 80s and 90s, and 4 of these books were translated into English in 2008. Now, again, we haven't gotten to the why am I talking about these 2008 Japanese children's books on my Deltarune YouTube channel. Well, Twitter user Pringle2612 came across some of the art from these books, which I'm holding off the specific ones for dramatic effect. You guys haven't seen it yet, so that's going to be exciting.
I don't know nothing.
Yeah, and they believed that the art that they saw could relate back to Deltarune, and this would later inspire the Deltarune Vision Crew Discord server to look further into Wachifield, creating this doc, the Wachifield Deltarune Information Doc, which was spread to Twitter by Crimson Alice 27. With their findings on Wachifield and the potential inspirations Toby may have taken from it. Now, again, this doc bolsters apparently having the inspirations for Friend, Dessa's disappearance, stuff about the festival, among other things in the books. And we're going to get into all that in a second, but I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off and get the big one out of the way. Because that's just Friend.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
So this is a piece of art related to Wachifield that initially people thought it was like bogus because this was from 2024. It dates back to I think at the very least 2010. So this is way before even Undertale or Deltarune or till we would have gotten the like idea for Deltarune. And I think it is pretty inarguable that that's just Friend. That's just the design. This shadow cat with a big toothy smile. I think it literally has the same amount of teeth that Friend has. This was the big thing that everybody saw, and again I saw on Twitter. I was like, wait, what? And there's more to go into, but again, this is like the big one that like spurs like, okay. Undoubtedly, Toby has seen this, and it likely inspired the design for Friend. So that's pretty crazy. But before we jump into actually talking about the stories themselves, because again, we're going to go through the stories that are translated in English and the potential relations to Deltarune, I want to get ahead and say that much of what we're about to talk about could just be coincidental or generic enough to dissuade people from looking into it deeper. But I feel like given that I think it is highly, highly likely, I mean, just look at it, that highly likely that at the very least Friend was inspired by the art from Wachifield. Toby is definitely aware of / has read these books. So I think it's worth looking into that because it's the potential inspiration for stuff in Deltarune. And so nothing here is going to necessarily like solve Deltarune, but it's undoubtedly interesting to look into it given we know this was likely a source of inspiration for Toby. As well, even if not intentional, reading some of this genuinely feels like this image to the right here. So it's fun to discuss even if it doesn't amount to anything like super groundbreaking.
Again, also real quick before we actually do get into the stories proper, I just want to say, if you end up enjoying the video, it'd be greatly appreciated if you liked the video, shared it with friends, if you like commented, use the newly added YouTube hype points if you're on modal. If you're on mobile, and if you're feeling extra generous, we do have a Patreon where you can support if you want to get access to the full presentation. To get the full presentations, you can spend any amount of money, even just $1 to get it. And then if you want to spend on higher tiers, you get stuff like extra bonus videos and voting in polls and stuff like that.
So with all that little preamble out of the way, let's go into a plot summary of the main story that we're going to be looking at today in this presentation, the Chibikuro Party. Again, there was 3 books, but this is the one that we're going to read it, and you're going to see. Let's just get into a summary of this book.
First page, when I find my Deltarune, the world will revolve
Into freedom.
with Gaster.
just straight up gasping.
Bro, just...
That's crazy.
My phone opened on its own.
On your phone in
Scrolling.
class.
He's scrolling.
Bro.
Without further ado, let's get into the summary of Chibikuro Party. So at the beginning of the story, the moon sends down beams of light into the homes of all the animals in the town that Dion the cat lives in, giving life to their shadows. Yeah, there's going to be some big red remember your genocides text whenever Deltarune stuff happens in the summary, so just get used to it. So the moon sends down light and gives life to all the shadows of all the different animals in the town. Now the shadow of Dion comes to life and wakes him up, again depicted here, explaining that this is the night of the Festival of Shadows, the one day that they can all roam freely.
Bro.
And then it turns out this happens on chapter 5 of the book. Oh my god!
We're gonna go.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, it takes place on the December holiday. I think this story takes place on Halloween, I believe. I think that was in the doc. Also, I should specify that like all the information here is from the Wachifield Deltarune doc. So big credit to them. Link in the description to the findings. But I think it's interesting that if it does take place on Halloween, that does kind of parallel Deltarune, considering the fact that we can assume that the festival might sort of have a Halloween theme, considering that Jackenstein says he comes out on festival night, and it seems that Deltarune probably takes place in like around the fall. But yeah, so that's just like a little thing pin in. But let's get back to the actual story. So together, Dion and his shadow decide to go to the festival together, since they've never been apart before since he's been a shadow. And Dion gives his shadow the name Chip. They also call each other fat here. We can see it in this dialogue here, and I think that's kind of funny because they was like, "Hey, you look fat." It's like, no, you look fat.
You look like me.
So they arrived to Squirrel Street, seeing 11 squirrels. I see. This is when I started doing the text, and like 11 is obviously a loaded number in Deltarune, considering like 11 years or 11 hours Deltarune is waiting. I don't think that has. That one's definitely not intentional, but I just thought that was funny to point out. Where again, it really is the like penumbra phantasm, the world revolving, where it's just like
Squirrel Street.
like just like you're reading stuff, and even if it's not intentional, it's just like it's like being. So yeah, they arrived at Squirrel Street, seeing 11 squirrels chanting Chibikuro Party, which is the name of the Festival of Shadows, and they lead Dion and Chip to the festival. Now, the shadows all have fun at the Chibikuro Party, greatly enjoying being able to do things on their own for the first time. And at the party, disguised as the shadow of Noel, who lives in the Death Forest. Noel. This is the shadow cat Noel from Death Forest.
Boo-boo.
Anyway, so Noel was ordered by the Satan of Death Forest to kidnap the shadow, all the shadows at the festival. Noel asks the shadows if they want to live free forever, and promises that he can bring them somewhere where they can have more than just one night to be free.
Oh hell no! That's alright. Sorry. That's crazy.
The shadows are all really excited about the idea that Noel proposes, and Noel leads them to the forest. Dion, concerned that the town will no longer all have shadows, meets with his friend Jitan. And in the city, to wake everybody up, they like ring all these bells and wake up all the animals, and then you're like, wait, we don't have our shadows.
That's fucked up.
So Dion and Jitan lead all the other animals to find all the shadows, and Jitan, realizing that they're headed to Death Forest, explains that the shadows will not be able to come back if they go there, because they will become servants of Satan till they are worn out. Jitan attempts to call the moon for help, while Dion catches up to the shadows and tries explaining the dangers of following Noel into the Death Forest. Chip explains that he was told it was a wonderful place, apologizing and saying that he would like to stay the way he is for a little while, again, being able to like be free and not attached as a shadow. Now, before Dion could finish explaining, the sound of a hurdy-gurdy...
Hurdy-gurdy from Deltarune. Oh.
I just wanted to make that one. The sound of the hurdy-gurdy is heard, and the moon comes down as Madame Moon plays music that all the shadows can't help but dance to. All the animals dance with the shadows as depicted here, all of them realizing that they belong together as they've been with each other since they were born, essentially. And the sun eventually rises as Chip returns to be Dion's shadow, alongside all the other shadows returning back to their proper place. Noel was too enraptured by dancing and unintentionally keeping up with the polka, and melts away at daybreak. So that is the ending to Chibikuro Party from the Wachifield series. Let's talk about... Okay, yeah, so we're gonna now talk about the similarities that Deltarune has to the story. And Whoa. So, despite his name literally being Noel, I don't think that character is, a parallel to Noel anyway. It seems way more likely and it seems pretty clear that Noel is probably the closest analog to Friend within the story of Chibikuro Party. Again, like the idea of, this shadow cat kidnapping people, leading them into a forest, stuff like that. That very much aligns with like what people think about Friend. And I think under the interpretation that you believe, one, Friend led Des to being, lost where the forest would grow, such a shelter or whatever. And as a result, it somehow turned Des into the night or whatever situation is going on with the night. And if you also believe, two, Gaster is related to Friend, is this story not kind of crazy? Like, I feel like this is kind of insane. Because, like, again, in the story, we have a demonic shadow cat working for Satan, which is leading people into a death forest, which will turn those who are led there into servants of Satan until they are worn out. So reframing it with, sort of the Deltarune brain rot mind, right? So we have a shadow cat, being Friend, working for Satan, which is assumedly Gaster, because, Gaster has, 666, all the other associations with being the devil, and other associations with, Friend, which, again, if you want to see that, watch our Friend video to, like, find all that. And this shadow cat is luring people, again, poor children / deaths, whatever, into a death forest, lost where the forest would grow, to turn them into a servant of Satan, which under this interpretation is kind of the night, like Des turning into the night and being like served under Gaster, considering that we know that the knight likely has some connection to Gaster through the stigmata, like whole hands and stuff like that, and also being just inside the shelter in general. And if Gaster is meant to parallel this Satan of the Death Forest, it would make sense for a knight to be a servant of a demon king, which is another name for the Satan of Death Forest in the story, is the demon king of the Forest of Death. So we have a king and their servant, which would be a knight in this case, again, using the Deltarune Parallel. And additionally, the phrase, until they are worn out, used regarding becoming a servant of Satan in the story, is sort of similar to the phrasing of she/you were used up on the sword route, again, when you get to like the end of the doors and stuff. This is made even crazier and more likely to be intentional, considering the fact this is actually the second known inspiration for Friend to be a servant to a devil trying to kidnap people in service of a devil's plans. So now we're going to get into talking about Breath of Fire 2 and other Friend-spirations for completion's sake.
Yo, I literally just, like, yesterday looked up Breath of Fire 2. Completely unrelated to anything else. That's fucking crazy.
Well, let's talk about Breath of Fire 2 for a little bit. Now, pointed out by B-FW1LR in the comments of the Friend video, as well as discussed by Wandy Doodles on Twitter. Again, it is in a Mr. Brick & Co. Friend video.
Without mentioning Wandy Doodles. But they point out that another clear inspiration for Friend is the character Barberry from Breath of Fire 2. Now, Barberry in the game is a demon who works as a servant to the demon god Death Evan. And would that not be how you say it?
Yeah, probably. It's just like, it is. It's just funny.
Yeah.
Like, what his name was John. God, Dev John, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
My name's Dev Kelvin.
My name is Dominion Dan. This creature, again, is a demon who works as a servant to the demon god Death Evan, and under his orders, lures the protagonist and their friend. The at the time children follow his tail in a dark cave. His tail, which happens to be made out of circles with a pointed tip at the end. Some sort of pointed tail that takes crawl, if you will.
Of hell.
Yeah.
Death Evan.
They also then fight this demon like years later when they're grown up and stuff like that. So Breath of Fire 2 is mentioned by Toby as an inspiration several times, especially during the 10th anniversary stream for Undertale. So there's no doubt that this character inspired the Tale of Hell and Friend. Like, I think it is too deliberate of a parallel, and Toby, again, would not shut up about this game on the stream. So that clearly seems like an inspiration for Friend such as Tale of Hell. And again, as Wandy Doodle points out in this tweet here, the fact that we now have two fairly explicit inspirations for Friend that just so happen to have them kidnapping people under the orders of a demon / devil / whatever, that's kind of nuts. Because again, I think it's like Friend, like luring Des into the shelter and yada yada yada. That all till like up to this point is still technically just like theories. The only thing we really know about Friend is nothing really, But I think like having these two clear inspirations pretty like it puts a solid backing in like what the fan and ideas for Friend is already. Again, just the fact that we have two examples of almost the exact same scenario. And I think also furthers the connection between, again, like Friend and Gaster through like the associations with like these characters doing it with from the orders of like a like demonic, like devil, Satan creature. So yeah, I think that's kind of crazy. And also, since this is hopefully the last Friend video for a little while, I want to get into the last of the more clear Friend inspirations, just out of the way here. Now, we've already mentioned that Cheshire Cat as an inspiration, but, you know, it bears repeating because it's just like, come on. As well, a black cat with pink and yellow eyes, again, as described, like as what Friend looks like, does invoke the look of Cookie Cat from Steven Universe. I think this is honestly probably like my first thought when I saw Friend stuff, like back in the chapter 2 days, where it's like that's Cookie Cat. We're done with our little break from Wachifield. Just talk about this because again, I think this is important to note, and it's something that we didn't bring up in the Friend video that probably was pertinent to talk about, and again relates to all this sort of, you know, luring and all that stuff. Oh, and then also this is, I think, like another art associated with the story, which, again, has the text associated. Well, and also we see, you know, all the shadows here and some very friendly-looking faces in the darkness here.
Scary-ass faces.
Yeah.
God damn.
In this excerpt, it says, do you know something about a world where only shadows remain? Walking through the shadows, the darkness itself, the receding moon is our only hope. Be careful, you might be dragged away. Now, I think, again, the sort of like, oh, like a world of only shadows where you're just walking through and stuff like that, that kind of invokes like how Ralsei describes like the roaring, where, you know, like shamble about in like shadow, like not being able to see anything. And I think just in particular, like, oh, you're like dragged away, the sort of implication of being sort of like taken, you know, again, also relating back to the whole, you know, Friend luring and kidnapping deaths and stuff like that. So I feel like that was important to mention. But the allusions to Chibikuro party in Deltarune reach beyond just Friend and Dessa's disappearance and all that, as the shadows in the story heavily mirrors Darkeners. Again, as described by Ralsei, Darkeners are literally shadows given form through, you know, the light of the fountain and stuff like that, which is almost exactly how the shadows are brought to life in Chibikuro party through being hit with like the bright light from the moon and stuff like that. So it definitely feels like there's a connection and sort of like a mirroring of the Darkeners in Deltarune and the shadows in Chibikuro party. Also, it is made like explicit note that Chip really enjoys just like being like alive and being free and having like a name and all that, like having his own like identity separate from Dion, which could parallel the struggles of like Darkeners just in general. Again, like not being real and not having like identity of their own. Like that's a big thing with Ralsei, whereas like, oh, he's associated. Like he doesn't know what being Ralsei-like is because, you know, he's just like an object given form, and even more explicitly, like he's, you know, the specific visage of Asriel, you know, where it's like he doesn't know what being Ralsei is, and I think that kind of struggle here relates back to the shadows in this story. And additionally, all the shadows going back to being the shadows of all the animals when the sun rises could parallel how all the Darkeners like turn back into their light world objects due to the light of the soul sealing like the fountains and stuff like that. Also, this whole story occurs on a festival night, which obviously can be traced back to Deltarune. And if we are to believe that a dark fountain could or might be opened up during the festival in Hometown, like during the story, which is an idea that I feel like a lot of people think probably will happen, all the shadows coming to life during the Chibikuro party in this story could parallel all the Darkeners coming to life in Hometown during the festival in Deltarune. And also, again, like the idea that we talked about before of like this idea of like a never-ending night, you know, or it's like, oh, like the constant darkness, and like Noelle's promise of like having like, you know, a world where it's like constantly like it'll like never turn day, so we can all stay shadows forever. Again, kind of parallel, again, like I said before, the idea of like the roaring and like being overwhelmed with shadow, but opposed to being able to like be fully like given life during all the darkness in Chibikuro party. In Deltarune, during the roaring, all the Darkeners just turn to stone, so they lose any life that they like did have, you know. So I thought that was like an interesting parallel. And one last point about Friend specifically regarding all this stuff is that Noelle in the story uses the allure of being able to live freely to get the shadows to follow him. And Friend obviously also being associated and like tied with this idea of like freedom and stuff like that, and even potentially offering it in a similar way, given like the situation with Spamton like that, if you believe like he's Spamton's benefactor and stuff like that. Where it's like, and he makes specific note of like, oh, don't you want to live freely by yourself? Like live freely from now on. I should have read that in like red text. Again, like that idea of freedom and Noelle trying to offer freedom to other people kind of parallels Friend doing the same sort of thing. And one last point, the shadows are kind of ripoffs of the original people if you kind of think about it. Now, I don't know how that would even like tie into any of like rip-off theory stuff, but I just wanted to speak it out like into existence, you know? So that's pretty much it for Chibikuro Party and the connections to Deltarune, but now we're going to get into the other books that are translated into English. Again, we could look at all the non-translated ones, but do you guys know Japanese?
Yeah.
I studied, yeah.
Chichi, don't you?
I have a major in it.
How do you say that? White. Yoroka?
Yeah, I think Yoroka.
Oh shit.
So I'll say it in Japanese.
White Yoroka. You know, I think you could argue it's like, oh, Toby, you know, he does know Japanese, so maybe he did read them, but it's like, again, these, I don't know when Toby actually started learning Japanese, so it's like, I don't think there's probably anything super useful we can get out of that. So again, these are the three other stories that are translated into English, like given in the doc, which is, again, this has a longer name, but Lazy Tree, White Yoroka, and Thursday Rainy Party. Now, getting into this,
No, fucking way.
Bro.
His friend and this
You
is
can't be
villain.
for real, bro.
we're gonna address the elephant in the room in just a second, but
Outline the room.
so I just want to like say that the rest of these stories have much less explicit connection to Deltarune compared to Chibikuro Party. So we'll just brush up on them quickly. We're not going to do a full summary for all the stories. We're just going to go over like the relevant information in each story. So now I think the biggest piece from any of these other stories is from the Lazy Cat Tree Island, where we have this character called the 1,000-Year Sloth, depicted here with a very similar design to Friend.
It looks chill though.
He is not. Well, okay. Well, actually, that's kind of the point that he's
One on
chill.
the
But
left,
like
that
The
one
one on
looks
the right
chill.
is fucking.
that looks. This is.
He looks kind of chill.
I don't know,
The one on
man.
the right.
I'd be sweating if I saw that guy like sitting there, but
That's what I'm saying.
It's funny you say it's chill because like the whole story is about like all these cats go to this island and they like lay on the tree and they get really lazy and become like absorbed into like this guy and he turns into like a whole tree and stuff like that.
Okay, before you
yeah,
get
I see the
absorbed,
cats
wouldn't it be
in the-
chill?
Well, I think
This one right here, this guy. Look how chill he look, bro.
yeah, but
he's
the,
getting like absorbed into
yeah, they're getting.
His energy is
Dude, look at this guy. He took over like a whole like island. Like he was like.
But like, it's
You think that guy's alive? He is dead. He's laying there dead, dude.
Well, I think they end up fine in the end. I think it's like at the end of the story, like Jitan, Jitan, like Dion's friend, like I'm gonna out lazy you, and he like beats him or whatever. But yeah, so again, the 1,000-Year Sloth is again looks very similar to Friend. Again, like the big eyes, the big toothy smile. But I think even more notably in the story is that the sloth is essentially fused to tree roots. Which, considering the fact that the Roots Prophecy panel is seemingly very important and also connected directly to Friend through the Spamton Sweepstakes pages, and also having the dialogue right after seeing the panel in the egg room be where you get the dialogue about the Tale of Hell, or I guess rather the Children Follow the Pointed Tail, like the dialogue with the organic there. So I think I think it's incredibly fascinating seeing a cat that looks visually similar to Friend literally like having tree roots extended out of him, you know? I think even also like having the all the cats laying on the roots kind of like invoking like Friend and like his legs, where you have like all like the different like cat silhouettes and stuff like that.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And then moving on to the next story, the White Yoroka has several mentions of the North Wind. Which is mentioned in the narration of the night fight. Again, suddenly the North Wind blew fiercely. The North Wind is just like a thing, but again, it's one of those Deltarune like brain rot things where it's like I just keep on seeing them say like North Wind in the dialogue here, and it's like ding, like I'm like.
It is here.
And also, the White Yoroka, the story also has a festival going on where they awaken a snow god, and it also begins to snow heavily afterwards. So I think that is also very interesting, considering the fact that we have the prophecy panel. Cold water falls from the sky, which obviously referring to snow, but maybe like a snow grave. Especially considering we have Noelle, who is has snow magic and stuff like that, who is very angelic. You could say godly figure, considering her connections to the angel. I think that kind of seems like an allusion to like that sort of thing.
You also forgot to mention in White Yoroka when they grab a giant ice block and kill a fucking blue jay or something.
I forgot to mention when Dion falls and dies in an ice lake. Oh yeah. Also, speaking of which, at the beginning of the story, I think Dion is like bored and he breaks off a piece of ice and is like looking at his reflection in it. Which again, like I get in like Deltarune brain rot mind is like, oh, it's kind of like maybe like a shadow crystal, stuff like that, because he sees like Jitan like waving to him like in the ice. But again, that's it's just a reflection. It's just like a mirror, It doesn't really matter. But I thought that was interesting to point out. Okay. And also, in the White Yoroka, the dancing in the festival in the White Yoroka is also said to shake the earth, which is kind of similar wording to how Ralsei describes like the roaring happening. And lastly, in Thursday Rainy Party, it rains.
What?
Surely this must be the somewhere else it rained, as alluded to in Undertale.
Sans came straight out of the book.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I don't have much else to talk about this story,
Brick and Co.
but
That's literally us.
I just want to include.
Who's who?
You already know who I am.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Let's not even pretend.
So I forget his name, but he's like one of my favorites. He just gives an awesome design. I feel like I would be Dion, right? Because I'm like the main guy.
Right.
And then I don't think these guys have names. I think there's a story in the story, like Dion meets like a frog who like loves being in the rain and like jumping around. They go to like a house of mouses where there's like a bunch of mouses in a house. But then
Who would have guessed?
Come to my house, bro. Like, goddamn.
The House of Mouses.
but yeah, I just wanted to include this image because I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
And there wasn't really much else to talk about the rainy day one. Okay, but again, that's it for the specific like stories in. We'll get to it.
Oh my god.
My bad. That's not
No, you're good. So, okay, that's the end of talking about specifically like the stories that are translated in English. So we're just gonna talk now about just some like Wachifield lore and also just other connections that I found like just like looking through it. These ones are mostly fun. I think most of these probably don't actually mean anything compared to other stuff where it's like, okay, even if it's not intentional, it seems like interesting to talk about. This is more so just like fun stuff. So in the lore of Wachifield, there is a guardian deity, which again we referred to in the last story, called a snow god, who split apart Wachifield and Earth into two separate places. Because the snow god thought that like both worlds would be destroyed due to a battle between gods and giants and whatnot. Now again, the idea of a snow god again kind of like it like tangentially relates to Noelle, given her like all her connections to the angel and like connections to like snow magic and stuff like that. And I think also again this idea of like two worlds like splitting apart, kind of like, maybe resembling like dark world and light world.
So wait,
What's up?
Wachifield is a planet?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a separate place.
Summer trip.
It's a dark world.
Summer trip to Wachifield.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
Do field trip.
Dude, yeah.
You're gonna get on a school bus. Well, actually, I'll explain how we get to there later because that also has some loaded implications. But yeah, I think also again like the battle between gods and giants, kind of like alluding a little bit to like or like mirroring a little bit like the roaring and stuff like that with like the Titans and stuff like that. So yeah, now let's get into how Dion got to Wachifield because he was just I think like he was like living normally on Earth. He was guided there by snow magic. And which led him to a floating green door, which is the entrance to Wachifield. Now again, like snow magic, obviously, Noelle stuff, whatever. But again, the idea of a mysterious door which shouldn't be somewhere, specifically being the color green.
You know, the funny thing is, you moved your arm around when you said green, and I just see the gas.
I didn't see him this whole time.
Really?
No,
I
Dude.
just see the green gas either.
I had that plan like from like days ago.
Literally.
Now again, like we haven't done our own dedicated Green Gaster video yet, but again, if you don't know yet, Gaster is likely heavily associated with the color green before he became like monochrome and stuff like that. So again, the idea of this weird floating green door feels a little bit like wingdings to me. I don't know. Oh, and then also. In the description of all this Wachifield stuff, like on the website and stuff like that, it's described that Dion and Jitan transcend time and space in like great adventures and whatnot. Which again, the wording of time and space relates back to Gaster. One of the Gaster followers mentions that he was shattered across time and space. Now, again, like that time and space is just a thing people say, But I just think again, it's just funny to point out, especially considering the green Gaster or stuff like that. So next up, we have the Jackenstein pumpkin. So I'm assuming that's what you were referring to when you saw it earlier. So yeah, there's this art. I forget what it's specifically for, but something related to Wachifield. Where you see this pumpkin, which kind of looks like Jackenstein. I've seen some people talk about how people are stretching. It's just a jack-o'-lantern, but like,
Come on.
the expressions are very similar. I think particularly, I think I saw someone point out that like why does Jackenstein have like the whites around his eyes, like as if it's like actual eyes and not like hollowed out like an actual jack-o'-lantern, where it's like, oh, that's here and they're doing the same expression, and also like the teeth are in like the same place here. They're sharp here and like Santa down here. But again, I just think even not intentional, like that's pretty funny that it looks similar, Oh, and also there's this little puzzle here. I think it's from either like a different story or something that are related to Chibikuro Party. But the festival is referred to as Noelle's Night.
My God.
Which like. Again, obviously, like, the night and stuff like that. But I think it's more so like the idea that, again, like the festival in Deltarune will be Noelle's night, especially on like the weird route, maybe. I just think that's funny. And I think it's also interesting that we talked about in the Friend video that the sort of like visage of Friend could be some sort of like primordial like form of darkness. If that sounds like nonsense to you, I guess go watch our Friend video to explain like how we kind of got to that conclusion of how that might be the case with Friend. I think it's interesting given, again, like this, I'll just get a bigger image of it. So like this that clearly the art that more so inspired what Friend looks like. We see that again, like all of the shadows of all the animals and stuff have the same look as Friend, or as the Friend equivalent. I also just want to clarify, these aren't actually like the Noelle in the story, which is the Friend analog. This is like, again, like Chip and like the other shadows and stuff like that. But like even if it's not like the design of the direct friend analog in the story, it's clear that the design was based off of this, and then probably elements of the story were also taken for friend.
I saw a bunch of people being like, can you guys believe that like Toby Fox just straight up like took friend from this? And I was like, what are they talking about? And then yes, he is. It's like, okay, so he just did.
A little bit. Like at the very least design wise, like it's pretty one to
Very,
one.
very close. It'd be a damn insane coincidence if he just straight up never actually like saw this.
Yeah.
Just made friend like separately.
Yeah. So again, I think it's interesting based on the previous idea that shadows in Chibikuro Party represent like darkeners in general. Having them depicted in this art with a look very similar to Friend, I think is interesting. And then also, again, we see them holding like lanterns here, and I think the squirrels are like holding lanterns, like walking. So I think that's interesting considering the fact that Sham, who is a cat, their song, like when you enter their shop, is called Lantern, which I don't think there's really a reason for it to be called that, because I don't think there's like a lantern like in the shop anywhere. I guess the lighting is kind of like yellowy, so it like kind of looks like lantern lit and stuff like that. But I guess that could be an explanation of why the song is called Lantern. I think that's a bit of a stretch, but I just wanted to like mention it. And then also, I think another, like, this is one of the bigger things that I think, okay, this definitely seems like a direct, like, design influence on Toby, is the idea of cat faces within negative space. So we're going to move on to the next slide because I want to, like, blow this up bigger. So here's an art from, I think, like, a CD picture book game for Wachifield, where we see, again, these, shadowy, friend-looking shadows with the big toothy smiles, and in the negative space in between them, we see, like, faces. Again, one of them also looking a lot like Friend, which I think is very similar to, again, Friend, but also almost more so in Dogony, where, again, in the negative space in between, there's, like, faces and stuff like that. Like, I think, alongside the sort of, like, more sketchier, like, clear design influence for Friend, I would not be surprised if this specific image inspired Toby, again, with the Amalgamate and Friend by proxy. Because, again, I feel it is just a very similar looking idea, you know?
And these were for kids, bro?
Yeah.
No, fuck no, bro.
See, that's what I love about it, where it's like, it's like, so, it's kind of like off-putting and like creepy, but like, I love this stuff.
I hate it. This is awesome.
I had another one of those moments. I was like, oh, that art is really cool. And then you moved your arm and I saw Andogamy and I was like, oh my god, oh my fucking god. It's literally that.
So with all that being said, we're done. That is it for everything I could find relating Chibikuro Party and I guess just Wachifield in general to Deltarune. And also to mention, I love this art so much. It's so funny looking here. But what's it called? I think like talking about that makes me want to extend to the next slide. But I just want to say like, I've kind of become obsessed with this stuff. Like I kind of like just adore like the whole like art style. Like I think like Wachifield like in general is like it's a children's book, so it's not like the most like groundbreaking like avant-garde stories of all time. They're very simple stories, but just like the art style is like so charming, and I kind of like how it's like just like a little bit like creepy, but still like really like cute and stuff like that. Like I'm a big fan of Akiko Akaida. Her work is phenomenal, and yeah, I just look at this. I want to get a tattoo of this one. I feel like that would make for a good one. But yeah, so that's kind of it. Do you guys have any final thoughts about Wachifield, just as books in general, or their connections to Deltarune and stuff like that?
Is there anywhere I can read the books or not?
I think the doc has PDF files for all of them, and I think like you can buy them online, like on Amazon in some places. Again, like I would suggest like they're like what, like it's like 40 pages and they're like picture books.
That's
so
too much, bro.
you can literally read through them in like 5 minutes. So I heavily suggest.
I don't got the time for that. Who
do you think I am?
Bro,
Dude,
40-minute picture books, bro.
You guys sit here for like hours for these presentations.
Did he say 40-day picture book? I can't read that, bro.
Whether 11 days or 11 years. But yeah, so I heavily just like if you I guess if you have the time, I know you guys are so busy, just like read through them. They're very fun little reads. But yeah, you guys have any like feelings about again how it's all like connects to Deltarune and stuff like that? I'm glad you guys didn't know like anything about it
I didn't know damn thing about it.
I think he's a cutie and Friend is fucking horrifying.
I got a question.
What's
that the
up?
audience wondering. What's the next video?
I don't know.
Should we make a video about piss
It doesn't
theory?
have to be that.
Piss theory, like a full piss theory video.
I mean, it wouldn't be that long. It'd probably be like 5 minutes long.
Holy crap, fuck theory. I'm telling you, bro.
Dude, they're like
Just recycling bits.
Yo, purple
Gift trot-ish. I also just want to mention again the idea that again like these like this friend kind of creature being the shadow of a different character. Again, I was talking about like like rip-off theory, and that's kind of like like Susie and like Susie's shadow. Their rip-off is Friend.
That's kind of crazy.
That is looking crazy.
Do you even care?
No.
He's like, it is crazy. Stupid.
No, because what do you want me to say? Like, get on my knees and say I'm
Yes,
crazy?
it's crazy. What? That doubles down ripoff theory.
Bro, look, that one is literally named Dalen, bro. Like, come on.
You know, there was a couple times where, like, when I looked at it, I kind of did.
Again, before we end here, we have one more thing we got to get to, which is the Patreon shoutouts. Yeah. Again, thank you guys so much for your support. And here's our students in the average students tier, and in the honor students tier, we have Toby Tricky Fox, Dick Chocolate, Chaos Beam, Semantic Pedantic, Riley Swab, Spicy Bloke, Easier Name Than John Luca, Admin Access, Rocco _ Dusty Plush, Lundcraft, Jorts Master, John Robert 659. Silvix, Avast Antivirus, Kaido Noir, Feder, Shep Kish, Baskin, Bringer of Boy, LBA Lego Blocks Animations, Banjaxed, Digby Doodles, and Loggy Break, as well as Ellie and Dino. And now in the Overachievers tier, we have Blender Fucker, Rat Avenue, Colta Cola, Adam Sandler, Danias, Dev Guy, Crunkus, and Mad McGeeky. And then in the Overachiever Plus tier, we have Cheezus, Willow Wispy, and Chi-Chi.
Yo, who's that, bro?
I was just
the video right there.
we have to make a bit every single time. And last, but again, certainly not least, we have in the Teacher's Pet tier, Josh, take it away.
All right.
Tommy! Fetsu!
With all that being said, that is the end of our coverage of Wachifield and Friend in general. Again, I hope you guys liked the what ended up being the Image Friend trilogy.
That news was about to hit like right after this.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just gonna be like only about Friend.
It's like, by the way, Friend likes spaghetti.
We gotta make a new video.
Oh my
Also
god.
directly from hell.
Dude, also, wait, real quick. I guess this is a little lightning round of talking about stuff from the comments of the Rip-Off Theory video. Some stuff that people pointed out that I'm kind of kicking myself I didn't talk about. Someone said, like, a good name would have been Copycat Theory. And I'm like, dang it. And then also, another piece of evidence that I'm like, I feel stupid for not having this video, because it's actually, like, really good, is the fact that, again, you remember Caddy and Braddy, right? Their whole thing in Undertale is that they were, like, super good friends, and now they, like, hate each other in Deltarune. Which is interesting, because Caddy's a cat, and Braddy's a reptile, and the whole bit is that Caddy thinks that Braddy is ripping her off. It's a cat telling a reptile that it's ripping it off. Like, how did I not think of that?
When did she say that?
It's just like all their dialogue so far in Deltarune has been about...
She's like, you're ripping me off.
I don't know if that specific thing, but it's like, oh, she's copying me. She's like, just doing everything I'm doing, you know?
I do remember that, yeah.
And also, I think another thing, because people pointed out with the cat treats thing, that was apparently in the Japanese version of Deltarune. And I think, I'm talking about like food that Susie eats.
I saw that.
Yeah. So apparently, when you go to like the cafe in Castletown and you ask like Swatch for a suggestion for what Susie should eat, it's like a blacktail something. I forget what the exact food is.
Fucking way.
I know, right?
No fucking way.
It's crazy.
Would you like the Friend soup?
Yeah.
It really just feels like a joke at that point.
Yeah. So that's it for housekeeping. But again, unless you guys have any like comments, questions, concerns, that's it. Or I guess again, since it's our end of our coverage of Friend, how do you guys feel about Image Friend after all these 3 videos?
That's just scary, man.
Dude, he's awesome.
We're like uncovering like the Bible to fucking Deltarune, like the design Bible, dude.
Yeah, again, this stuff is crazy, and I feel like people are very like. I feel like some people are like a little too far on the side. Like Toby Fox ripped everything off of Wachifield, like everything's spoiled now. And there's people on the other side where it's like this means nothing. It's like insignificant stuff like that. And I feel like we could have a little bit of a happy balance here. Like I think again, a lot of stuff is seemingly related, and there's stuff that I think like unquestionably did inspire Toby in some way. And I think like regardless of how specific the inspirations are, it is an inspiration for Toby, and I think in the same way that it's like interesting to look at like Earthbound and Brandish and again like Breath of Fire, Homestuck, all those things that inspire Toby in his work. I think this should be alongside there and talking about like what potential inspirations there are. But stepping off my soapbox now, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to do any of the things you want to do on YouTube.
That's too Foxy jump scare right now.
Okay, guys, so watch your field.
What the fuck?